The following program contains views that are not those of WVTC, iNetworks Communications, their subsidiaries, affiliates, or financial supporters.
WBTC, reaching the world with positivity. Music to get you through your day. Winning victory through Christ is the only way.
I love that. I love that. I love it. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. I am Edward Jones IV. This is
Latanya Jones.
and we are the Family First podcast where we talk relationships, marriage, children, and sometimes
Nothing at all.
nothing at all. It is so glad to be with you again on another Tuesday night. The sun was bright today, but it was still kind of chilly. It was a long day, productive day, but we thank you for allowing us into your homes on your, iPhones, your iPads, or however you're watching us on tonight on YouTube and WBTC Television Network. Well, we talk about some good stuff all the time, babe. And we were talking a little bit earlier today about what we were going to discuss, and we came up with talking about value.
Mhm.
Talking about value. So, what do you mean talking about value? Oftentimes, we tell God what we want in a mate. I want them tall, dark, and handsome. I'm glad my wife didn't ask for that because that ain't what she got. Or maybe God said, you get what I take. You gonna take what I give you. But we tell God what we want, but we do not prepare ourselves or find out if we are bringing value
Mhm.
to the individual that we want.
Mhm.
Or you got to bring more than the table, ladies, than some stilettos and nice legs. Brothers, you got to bring more to the table than some good hair, nice eyes, or whatever. And so we had to figure out, okay, what value do you bring to a relationship? Because relationships work when we value one another. And I was telling my wife is I didn't want a wife that I could live with. I wanted a wife that I couldn't live without,
Mhm.
because you bring so much value to my life.
Mhm.
And so, how does that sound about talking about value?
Mhm.
Value.
It's good.
That's good. All right, so let's talk about that. Um, Good evening. I see you, Treese. God bless you, Treese. Sister Mabry, God bless you. Uh, Georgia Duckworth, we see you. We see you. Good being on. I love you so much. We thank all of you for being on tonight. And so the reason I started off by thinking about value, I began to think about the first family. We were family first, but the first family, Adam and Eve.
Mhm.
And God created the heavens and the earth, and then he created Adam and put Adam in the garden. And then he gave Adam a job.
Mhm.
And so, as Adam is doing his job,
Mhm.
God says, it's not good for him to be alone or all one.
Mhm.
And so, God pulled some things out of Adam,
Mhm.
but he needed those things and he gave it back to him.
Mhm.
But he only did that, and he called Eve a helper or a helpmate.
Mhm.
So he's only did that while Adam was working. He was doing something.
Mhm.
And he calls her a helpmate because she was helping him do something. She brought value to Adam.
Mhm.
So I'm thinking, if Adam is not doing nothing,
Mhm.
she can't help.
Mhm.
And if she didn't bring value, she's no help.
Mhm.
So tell me what you think about as a wife, as a woman, as a prospective mate or something like that. Tell me about your thoughts about preparing yourself or thinking about what kind of value would that a woman should be thinking about what she brings to a relationship and vice versa.
Good question. And there's a couple of different things that I think about, but I think first, just thinking about myself, years ago,
Mm-hmm.
when I was young, it really is knowing yourself, knowing who you are. What
Mm-hmm.
what kind of person are you?
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't know exactly, like I didn't know how I was going to be your helpmate. I
Mm-hmm.
knew that I needed to be,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't know exactly what that looked like
Mm-hmm.
until I was there in the situation, and then as time went on, I was able to see, okay, this is how I can be of help,
Mm-hmm.
to you. So I think, going back and thinking, okay, what kind of person am I? Am I healed?
Mm-hmm.
If there's any past trauma or situations that I dealt with, am I healed from that? Have I healed myself from any of that past
Mm-hmm.
stuff or junk that might be there? Is all of that clear?
Mm-hmm.
Am I starting this relationship with a clean slate?
Mm-hmm.
um in terms of preparation, is your mind prepared?
Mm-hmm.
Are you is it easier for you to just think about, you say, whoever you're going to be with, or are you always thinking about what you're going to get in
Mm-hmm.
and your, what you're going to gain from it? It's all about, like, have you matured, have you grown? Now, of course, some people that get married, different ages, different
Mm-hmm.
stages in life.
Right.
Some of them are a little bit mature, others, and I do believe that when you do get married, that it matures you too.
Oh, yes, it
It grows
will.
you up.
Yes, it will.
It grows you up. So
Yeah.
if you're not all the way mature when you get married, you will be
Yeah.
when you get married. That does happen. But I think, definitely, who are you? What type of person are you? And I think about that, how was I prepared to be married to you?
Mm-hmm.
I was the oldest kid in my household. I learned responsibility
Mm-hmm.
very, very
See, there
young,
you
how to
go.
be responsible, that it's not just about me,
Mm-hmm.
but it's about, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So my decisions, they carry weight.
Right.
They can
Yeah.
affect the whole household.
Yeah.
Um, those are just things that I got growing up.
Mm-hmm.
But again, being married, you don't have that full picture yet.
Right. Right.
So then I have to really rely on God, because
Mm-hmm.
I say, God, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not competent in myself,
Myself.
like you
You
talked
talk
about
about on
your sermon on
Sundays.
Sunday.
Yeah.
But I did. I had many of those conversations. Like, I don't know. Of course, I'd never been married before. This was new.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know how to be a helpmate, but I knew that I had to be.
But you had qualities. You didn't necessarily know how you were going to use the tools,
No.
but you had the tools to use.
And I knew that I had to be. And I
Yeah.
think that was a difference, that even though I didn't know exactly what that looked like,
Right.
but I knew that my responsibility being a wife was to be a
Help.
helpmate.
Right.
So then the question was, Lord, how do I help him?
Right. And so that is the part of the value. What value are
Mm-hmm.
you bringing to the relationship? A
Mm-hmm.
lot of times we get into relationships just to see what we can get,
Mm-hmm.
what makes us feel good, what makes us comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
But brothers and sisters, I am you this is for free. I'm not charging for this one. This is for free. But God will not allow him or her to come into your life for you to mess him up.
Mm-hmm.
He won't.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to know what you bring to the table.
Mm-hmm.
What Because once again, and I think about my life now, my life in ministry and things of that nature. You are indispensable
Mm-hmm.
to me. You bring so much value to me in things that we do in front of the camera and behind the camera, on the stage and off the stage. You bring value. You bring balance. You to my life and to the ministry. You bring more than a pretty smile. As pretty as you are, Lord have mercy, as gorgeous as you are, you bring more than that. And so at the same time, I had to say, in order for the Lord to bring me a help me, I had to be working. I had to be doing something. You know, God couldn't be looking at me and say, Jones, what you doing? I say, nothing. I said, well, shoot, if you ain't doing nothing, I don't need to send you no help.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of help do you need doing nothing?
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes, brothers, we're so busy looking for the helpmate before we're doing the work that we need help with.
Mm-hmm.
So, what value, once again, to a young lady, what value are you bringing to a young lady that has all of these gifts, that has all of these talents, and she's ready to help, but she doesn't have anything to help?
Mm-hmm.
It reminds me of y'all. You've jumped double dutch. You've jumped double dutch.
I tried.
You've tried. Okay. Y'all, and you in TV land and YouTube land and Facebook land, you've seen people jump double dutch, and there are some women that are waiting to help. They've got their stuff together.
Mm-hmm.
They know their value.
Mm-hmm.
They know who they are in God. They know the skills and the talents and the attributes that they have, but they can't find any brothers working so that they can help. So they're like in double dutch. They're just waiting. They're just waiting. They're waiting to jump in. They're waiting to help, but there's nobody for them to help.
Mm-hmm.
And that's on us. We you know, and we have to be busy. And that does not mean that you are a complete product when you come together. I believe that because I wasn't a complete product. You were not a complete product,
Mm-hmm.
but God brought us together so that we could become that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something else. And let me say this too: if you're perfect and you got so much value, and that you don't need nobody, then stay by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because that is that's something that uh, a man does. A man needs to have someone who needs him.
Mm-hmm. And that's one thing, being a woman, oftentimes, and it too depends on how you're raised. But if you are used to just doing everything by yourself, and you're used to working and taking care of stuff and always being the fixer and being the one that does everything by yourself, you are independent woman. Of course, society is big on that. Miss Independent, right? She got her own thing. She don't need nobody. But the problem is then when you get into a relationship and you're so independent where you like, well, I don't need a man. Okay.
And there's no value.
There's no value. And then so what do you have?
Yeah.
And so when you're in a relationship, it is that balance, it is that give and take. So there's the give, there's the take, and you see that in a relationship. If you're in a relationship, I don't need you for anything, then where is it?
Right.
And so now you come out of balance, and there you go. You don't have a really good relationship. But I think that's something that women have to understand, that it's okay to need,
Mm-hmm.
and you want a man, but to need
Mm-hmm.
a man. I feel like that's how we were designed
Mm-hmm.
and God made us. And it's
Yeah.
okay to be able to say that out loud. It does
Mm.
not make you any less of a woman
Yeah.
to be able to say that. It
Yeah.
doesn't diminish who you are or
Yeah.
the gifts that you have to be able to say, well, I need, because I know I need my husband. Look, hey, there is no shame in it.
Yeah.
And it's not just needing my husband because he gonna kill that spider for me, or
Yeah.
take my car for the oil
That's
change.
right.
But
Yeah.
no, which he will,
Yeah. Because you're not gonna do
because
it.
I
You're not
ain't
gonna
gonna
do
do it.
it.
But I am not ashamed to sit here and say I need my
Yeah.
husband. I
Yeah.
need him.
And that is so important in our relationships, that we begin to understand or take inventory
Mm-hmm.
of the value of individuals in our lives,
Mm-hmm.
our person that we are married to, that we're dating, that we're considering marriage. um, we have to think about how they're valuable to you. What do they add
Mm-hmm.
to my life?
Mm-hmm.
And so, because once again, um, we can have to think about too, our value to the other person, because it has to be reciprocal.
Mm-hmm.
It can't be, I need my husband, and then I'm saying, but I don't need you.
Right.
No, it has to be reciprocal. We have to need one another. We have to add value to one another's life. And so, um, there are just some things that, um, I'll give an example of how my wife adds value
Mm-hmm.
to my life. I'm very analytical,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm very cut and dry with a lot of things. I see, I go, that's just how I am.
Mm-hmm.
But you humanize a lot of things,
Mm-hmm.
and with feelings, and you say, well, you got to think about how they feel, because sometimes I don't care how people feel. It's what it is and what it is. But because of that, and the way that we communicate, you communicate, that brings value, that keeps me from making mistakes.
Yeah.
it
Balance.
it, it, it brings balance.
Mm-hmm.
You give me another perspective.
Mm-hmm.
You have the ability to say, well, Jones, just sit on a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Don't go off. Don't do this. Don't do that. And that is the quintessential example of a help meet.
Helping you to see things that you don't necessarily. And I think vice versa. You help me, because I'm a big softy,
Mm-hmm.
in my feelings, things like that. And you help me to see a different side to that, a
Mm-hmm.
different perspective, a different view, something that I hadn't thought about. And so again, it gives us balance.
Yeah.
I'm able to do that for you, and say, what, maybe consider this or think about this,
Mm-hmm.
and so I think us being able to do that for each
Mm-hmm.
other, it balances us out.
Right.
It gives us balance.
And that is how we become one flesh.
Right.
And so we get everything that we need. And once again, um, um, I need you, because it's not good for me to be alone. It's not good for me to be all one. And I have to have another perspective. I
Mm-hmm.
have to have another way of seeing things. I have to have something else or somebody else to show me my blind spots. Uh, uh, if your person cannot show you
Mm-hmm.
your blind spots, if you're not free to see, to allow them to show you what they see,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not always good.
Mm-hmm.
That's valuable. You know,
Mhm.
it might not. I said something the other day. Uh, Speaking of the Holy Spirit, but it's true also in our relationships. Uh, I said that the Holy Spirit might hurt you,
Mhm.
but He'll never harm you.
Right.
And in a good relationship, it's the same way. There might be some things that hurt us, but it
Mhm.
won't harm us. You might hurt my feelings by telling me the truth.
Mhm.
You know what? You know, I thought I was looking good, but but hurt my
Yeah.
feelings and let
Yep.
me know that that suit needed to stay in the 1970s.
Yep.
You know, but it won't harm me. Sometimes, whenever you go into surgery, a surgeon has to cut on you or do whatever. That hurts you,
Mhm.
but it hurts you. It fixes the things that are going on, so
Mhm.
you won't be eternally harmed.
Mhm.
So in our relationships, the value that you bring to my life is sometimes you'll hurt me for my own good, but
Mhm.
you will never harm me. If a bone is broken or something, you might have to reset it and then cast it. It may hurt, but it's going to heal me. And
Mhm.
so, uh, my brothers and sisters, friends, uh, please allow individuals that space in your lives, and to bring that value to you.
Yes, absolutely. Got to be able to tell each other the truth.
Yeah.
You know, like I remember one time you hurt my feelings.
See,
You
you ain't got to tell the people.
you
You ain't got to tell the people I hurt your feelings.
he told me about my wig was bad one time.
Oh
He
yeah.
said,
Oh yeah.
and I tell you, you know, but I laugh at it now, and it's
Yeah.
just something that I can just crack up and laugh at. Because I remember talking to my daughter about it, and she said, "Yeah, Mama, you know, he was telling you the truth." And I said, "Wow, you know," but I appreciate that, and it's just great to know that we have that type of relationship that we can tell each other anything,
Yes.
and it might sting a little bit,
Yes. Yes.
but I know that you're coming from a place where you love me and you want the best for me. You're not gonna have me going out looking
No,
crazy.
I'm not gonna let you do it
Right. And
because
then
we're
vice
all one.
versa. Right.
Because we represent one another.
Right. And vice versa. Like if same thing, you know, if I see you doing something,
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you because I love you and I want the best for you.
That's right.
And so I think that's something that definitely is so valuable just in our relationship that we're gonna tell each other the truth.
That's right. And public service announcement. If I will tell my wife that her wig ain't right, guess what I will do to you? So don't you come in my presence and your wig is on sideways, because I will tell you, because I love you. I'm
Right.
bringing value to your life. I'm bringing the value to your life to not have you looking crazy.
That's it.
All right.
That's it.
So, but those are that's one thing, and what we're doing is giving practical, tangible examples of how you can see if your partner is adding value, or how you should get value out of your relationships with your partner, or how you can add value to your partner's life. I
Mhm.
think about one of the things that you might not even think about it in that way, but when I was working on my Master of Divinity,
Mhm.
and how um, I would spend time at the library, and then in the wee hours I'd be at home writing
Mhm.
papers or
Mhm.
studying and doing whatever, or and there are times that you would get the kids and say, "Stay away from daddy."
Mhm.
Give. I know you want to see. You ain't seen him a little bit, but give them just a little bit of time, a little bit of space.
Mhm.
That added value to
Mhm.
me to get things done. It let me know, okay, she's on my team.
Mhm.
She understands.
Mhm.
She, as much as these kids have been on her nerves all day,
Mhm.
but she's giving me an extra couple of minutes to gather myself to do whatever.
Mhm.
That brought so much
Yeah, giving
value.
that support.
Yeah.
Emotional support definitely is important. and adds value to relationship, but just overall support
Mm-hmm.
of your mate is so
Mm-hmm.
huge. It's so valuable.
Yeah. And then, we did a lot of that. There hasn't been a time, there hasn't been much time in our relationship that one or both of us haven't been in
School,
school.
yeah.
And I think one of the things that I kind of added value, I brought to you, was the pursuit of
Oh,
education,
absolutely.
pushing you. Say,
Yeah.
we're not going to stop here. We're going to do this. I remember when we were living in California, and I don't know if you even remember this or have ever thought about this, but you wanted to take you're taking a coding class,
Mm-hmm.
and I would drive you, let you go inside, and I was
You
sitting
sit
there
in the
in a
car.
car.
Yep.
I
With
said,
the
I'm gonna be here.
kids.
I'm with the kids. I'm gonna be here because it's too
With the
far to
kids.
be going
Yep.
back and forth. We're gonna sit there and we're gonna
Yep.
sit and whatnot.
Yep.
And
During the whole
yeah.
class. Yep.
But that's, to let you know that you got somebody on your team. You're not in this alone. You're not doing it by yourself. And that's something that I've always wanted to bring to you, that you have you have a husband that supports you, that brings that support to you. And so we have to always be people that bring whatever the value is. One of the things that my wife brings, the value she has, she makes me laugh, y'all. She makes me laugh. She has the sense of humor. She's always giggling. She's always laughing.
Mm-hmm.
Even when I don't want to be laughing and I want to be serious, you make me smile. You
Mm-hmm.
make me laugh. That's value, because I can't walk around all day stoic. I can't walk around all
Mm-hmm.
day. Um, just simple things, but also what we bring
Mm-hmm.
to the table. Let me say this too: what we bring to the table determines what we as a family eat.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
If I don't bring nothing to the table, we're going to have a starving relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So, and so, to make sure that the relationship doesn't starve, you bring to the table as much as you can.
Yeah.
And just like at a potluck, you don't want people, or at Thanksgiving, because we don't like potlucks because we don't know how people do in their kitchens, because
Right.
some people have animals and stuff in their kitchens and they don't wash dishes and all that stuff.
Mm.
But if you go to mom's or grandma's or aunties them for Thanksgiving, everybody finds out what's everybody else is bringing. So
Mm-hmm.
there is no duplication.
Mm-hmm.
And so that there is enough and they're spread out. You have a multiplicity of choices.
Mm-hmm.
In our relationships, you should find out what you bring to the table and what I bring to the table, and they shouldn't be the same things necessarily. And so that we have a more coverage, we have more possibilities,
Mm-hmm.
because of we both bring something different to the table.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I agree.
You agree?
I agree. I think that um in a relationship it's good to be able to know what you bring. But as you are in that relationship and you're developing, especially in your early stages of
Mm-hmm.
that relationship, you're learning and you're finding more and more,
Mm-hmm.
okay, this is what I can bring. This is
Mm-hmm.
what, I can do for this relationship, because I'm emotionally healthy, I can bring emotional stability
Mm-hmm.
to this
Yeah.
relationship. I can bring support.
Mm-hmm.
I can bring, I can be his number one cheerleader. Now
Mm-hmm.
that's something that I knew. I knew that I am an encourager and
Mm-hmm.
that I could be your number one cheerleader,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is that you were going to venture out to do. So that's something that, I knew,
Yeah.
you know but again, I think the more time just being with you, then it's like, okay, this is how I can be, add more value. So
Yeah.
you're always trying to learn and figure out ways to bring value to your relationship.
Yeah.
And that may change over time.
Right.
So, you may start off doing something in the beginning, and as time goes, as needs change, you have to
Right.
change. You have to
Exactly.
adapt.
Yeah.
And so, you know, like becoming pastor, what you need and the support that you needed is different than say what it was when you were in school.
Yeah. Exactly.
How I had to pray for you, how I had to show up for you every
Mm-hmm.
day was different.
Mm-hmm.
Some of it is a little bit of the same,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a little different too.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's something that we just have to be mindful in
Yeah.
our relationships, that it'll change.
Right.
We have to always be pursuing, how can I add value
Mm-hmm.
to, my spouse's life?
Yeah.
What can I do? How can I really make things better? And I know that's always my approach.
Mm-hmm.
How can I make life better for you?
That's good. And for the brothers that are watching, and some of the sisters
Mm-hmm.
that are watching, I like to use sports analogies. And in a few weeks, in a couple of weeks, the NFL draft is coming,
Mm-hmm.
and each of the teams have different needs. They are drafting in different places, and they all have different needs. Some of them have similar needs. Um, I'm not going to talk about the Bears. I promise I will not talk about the Bears.
They
But
getting better.
what I'm saying is, but because of their needs, they may value certain positions and qualities more than another team.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to understand what you need so that you're valuing the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
The worst thing is to not have a need for something, and then you select it, and then you realize I really don't need this, and you've wasted your time, you've wasted the other person's time. So we have to understand our what we value based upon our needs. So if you don't know who you are, then you cannot say, okay, this is what I value.
Right.
You have to know who you are. So you have to know what you bring to the table yourself. You can't say what you bring into the table and you can't cook. What you bring into the table, you don't even have a table. You
Right.
you have to have some frame of reference
Mm-hmm.
to know what you. So I knew my personality. I knew what I needed. So that would make me value you
Mm-hmm.
versus something or somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we've been kicking it strong for 22 years, because we were what each other needed and
Mm-hmm.
continue to need, and we've learned to adapt over time with
Mm-hmm.
what our needs are.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the secret in relationships. Let me say this. And we've been married 22 years.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the same person that I was 22 years ago.
Mm-mm.
And I'm not the same person that I was 15 years ago or
Mm-mm.
10 years ago or
Right.
5 years ago. We're always changing, we're always growing, we're always maturing. And so we have to realize that,
Mm-hmm.
and make sure that we are valuing the changes in our spouses or in our significant others as they grow.
Mm-hmm.
You can't get mad that she don't look the same and you don't look the same.
Right.
You compare, mad about her shape, but you done lost all your hair. You don't hear her complaining. You don't hear
Right.
her complaining and calling you baldy locks and all of that good stuff.
Right.
So we have to know what to value, what stuff is essential, and what stuff is fleeting. Um, and that's why, as beautiful as you are,
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't the primary value. because all that stuff changes. It ain't changed a whole lot in 22 years. Look at you, Lord have mercy, Lord have mercy. But
It's changed.
that's what we have to do, my friends. We have to know
Yeah.
our value.
Yeah.
And also, if we know our value, we won't settle for less
Yeah.
than what we have.
Very true.
You know, you are a godly woman. You love Jesus. You got everything going to for you. You do got your you got your job. You got your benefits. Yeah, you know, you don't have to submit and throw away uh, what you have and what you are for some broke, dusty brother that don't love Jesus and still live in his mama basement.
Mm-hmm. Just
Because
anybody.
for just anybody, just to have somebody. And
Right.
so once again, you have to know your value. And what we see a lot is young ladies and young men do not know their value.
Mm-hmm.
And because they don't know their value, they will accept anything that comes along.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't. And as parents, we need to be sure to tell our sons, tell our daughters what their value is. That they are valuable, and most importantly, that their value is not in their own skills, their own abilities, it's not in their own intellect and all that. Their value is in Christ.
Right.
We talked about that on Sunday too a little bit, but we have to know what is valuable,
Yeah, that's
and we
important.
have to seek the right things out in potential mates.
Yeah. That's very important. That's very important. You know, how you see a thing is how you treat it.
Oh, that's good.
You know, and so even in ourselves, if
Mhm.
we don't see ourselves as being valuable and something to offer, I mean, yeah, we'll fall for anything, and we'll allow anybody to come and treat you any kind of way, and
Mhm.
because you feel like, well, this is, you know, this is the best that I can
Yeah.
do. And that's not, it's just not a good way to think. But unfortunately, we do see a lot of our young people
Mhm.
making those decisions because they feel like, well, this is the best I can do. It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of that happens because we've been conditioned to think that way
Mm-hmm.
because of what we've heard our parents say about us
Mm-hmm.
or
Or people
or people
around. Yeah.
around us. And so I want to kind of switch the hat a little bit to the hat of the parent and talking about value. Our our young people won't know their value if we don't tell them.
Yeah.
They can't find on their own their value. It has to be reinforced. You can't tell your children you ain't nothing, you ain't gonna never be nothing. You just
Mm-hmm.
like your daddy and your mama or your uncle them that wasn't nothing either. Your whole family ain't never been nothing, so you ain't gonna be nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a child can overcome it. It does not doom them, but it's difficult.
Yeah.
It's tough. And
And you know, and it doesn't even have to be just parents.
yeah,
If you're an adult and
yeah.
there are children in your life, you have a responsibility to speak life into
Speak life.
them.
That's
You
right.
know, definitely mind your words and what you say. You know, try to, you know, I have several youth that I mentor and that I work with, and so every time that I see them, I'm around them, I'm always trying to pour into them something encouraging,
Mhm.
something about them that's going to make them feel good about themselves, so that they know that they have value on
Mhm.
their own, that they don't have to necessarily try to pattern themselves against what they see like at
Mhm.
school or in social media, but they are valuable on their own. And so I'm very intentional with doing that, and
Mhm.
I think that that's so important, by doing that. So you don't have to necessarily be a parent,
Mhm.
even though we have, all of our kids, and that's something that we do.
Mhm.
But even kids that just come across your way,
Right.
by just trying to, give them an encouraging word. Like I know even you have the young men that you
Mhm.
mentor. And so, those are things that you try to pour into them that they're valuable.
Right.
So I think that's important to
Yeah,
think of.
it's so important because once again, that is why there is a lot of abuse
Mhm.
that goes on because for two reasons. For the abused, they feel that they're not valuable and they deserve it, you
Mhm.
know. And then the abuser,
Mhm.
they don't see value
Mhm.
in another person. You cannot abuse what you value.
Mhm.
Think about
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
What have you ever abused that you value?
Mhm.
Um, and so if that's going on, that means that there's no value. And so don't be in relationships and
Yeah.
don't be in situations where there are individuals that don't value you.
Yeah.
Life is too short. It is so precious. Um, be with people that value. Be with people that celebrate you, not people that tolerate you, people that
Oh yeah.
value you. And so and thank you for your comment, Sister Duckworth. But we are just so strong on making sure that people are valued. But you cannot value anyone else unless you know your own value.
Mhm.
Jesus tells us to love one another as we love ourselves. But if we don't love ourselves,
It's gonna be hard.
it's going to be hard to love other people.
Yeah.
Because if I don't love myself, if I love you like I love me, that means I'm not going to love you at all.
Mhm.
So um, that's something I really hope that we get on this week, dealing with value, knowing your value, what you bring to
Bring to
the
table.
table,
Yeah.
know what the other person brings to you, knowing how you balance each other out. You all should be able to uh, give something to one another that they couldn't get on their own.
Mhm.
Blessings to you, Tanisha. Um,
Mhm.
it's something that, uh, like I said, I didn't want a wife that I could live with.
Mhm.
I wanted a wife
Mhm.
that I couldn't live without.
Mhm.
And that is the value for that I needed in my life. And I hope I'm the same way for you.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that made me
Yeah, that's why I said I need my man.
That's right. I love you. That makes me happy. That makes me happy. And so that's a good place to put a pin in it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's a good conversation, good
Yeah.
talk.
Yeah. And let me let you guys know this. We talk every day. We just don't get on TV, and on this podcast talk. This is how we talk every day.
Right.
And so we just thank you for allowing us to have one of our regular conversations in front of you.
Yeah.
And so we'll put a pin in it
Yeah.
here until next Tuesday.
Yep.
Now, if you want to see us again before next Tuesday, you can come see us on Sunday morning at 10:30 a.m. sharp at Grace Missionary Baptist Church in Markham, Illinois, 16650 Crawford Avenue. We call it the Grace Station, where we are transforming lives and building the kingdom.
Yes.
So until then, I am Edward Jones IV. This is
Latanya Jones.
and this is the Family First Podcast. See you next week.
your Apple or Google Play Store and download the WVTC Gospel Radio app today. You can also say, Alexa, play WVTC Radio Skills.
Would you like to play WVTC Radio Network?
Absolutely. Download it today.
Views made on the preceding program are not those of WVTC Radio, iNetworks Communications, or their financial supporters.
Winning victory through Christ, WVTC Allsip Chicago, an iNetworks Studio Agency.